Are you often stuck wondering, how do I pray? What do I say? And why doesn't God answer my prayers? Now, imagine being able to talk to God like a close friend, asking questions, receiving answers, and most of all, finding peace in your heart. Stick with me and I'll show you step by step how you can pray so that you can start that relationship today. By the end of this video, you will learn what prayer really is and what it's not. You'll learn the exact steps to pray, no guesswork, just a clear guide how to connect with God, how to be disciplined with prayer and remain consistent. And as a bonus, I'm going to share with you exactly how I pray when asking for something. It's a method that has resulted in miracles and it absolutely works. Okay, until recently, I used to think that prayers were just like reading out of a book, or repeating some formulated prayers which were given to me by somebody else. This left me quite often feeling disconnected because most times I was just saying the words and not really paying attention to what I was saying. My mind was somewhere else. Do you feel this way sometimes too? Well, as expected, my prayers didn't do much, and I certainly did not hear from God. And as you would imagine, I didn't really pray much. But all of this changed when I learned how to pray properly. Now I enjoy my time with God. I do not read anything out of a book. I talk to God and I actually hear from Him. So stick with me and I'll share with you what I've discovered so you can learn how to pray in the simplest, easiest, and most effective way. Okay, prayer as I see it, it's a lot like gardening. When you know how to nurture your garden properly, it will flourish. But if you don't, it won't. It'll just die. So when you know the right methods, the garden flourishes. I'll teach you how to nurture your spiritual garden. Let's call it your spiritual prayer garden. Okay, let's first start with what really is prayer. Simply put, its basic goal is communication with God. Now, with communication, it's always two-way. Think of it like this. Just imagine that you're in trouble and you know one very wise, very powerful person in your life who has answers to everything. So what do? You pick up the phone and you talk and you talk and you vent and you rage and you rant and you cry and you're so upset and you tell him all your problems and then you hang up. Would you get anything out of that call? Now that is the issue with how we've been doing prayer so far. Do you get it? And that's why it hasn't worked. So let's learn how to do it right. But before you sit to pray, you must first prepare your heart for prayer. This is the first step. Look, just like before planting seeds in your garden, you need to prepare the soil, right? The same goes for prayer. How do you prepare your heart for prayer? I'm glad you asked. Number one, set aside a space to pray. We have space in our homes for everything, right? A living room to hang out in, a bedroom to sleep in, a kitchen to cook in, but usually no space for God. Look, pick a wardrobe if you don't have any space. My friends do that. But pick a spot that will be your space for your time with God. Why? Okay, imagine this. Trying to go to sleep in your kitchen versus your bedroom. Spaces have power. Trust me, it works. Try it. Okay. Personally, for me, I've set aside a space in the basement where I go to each morning to spend time with God alone. Okay. So number two, set the intention. Set the intention to seek God, to connect with God, and to hear from God. To do this, I open my prayer time with this line: "Speak, Lord, your servant is listening." You can use it too. Just setting the intention. Number three, eliminate distractions, which means your phone on silent or off, and center your thoughts on Him. This is vital. A heart that's ready will be fertile ground for meaningful prayer. Okay, so that's preparation. So now that you've prepared your heart for prayer, now you can start praying. Here's how to pray step by step. My mom taught me some of this when I was a kid. This is how I pray, and I've taught my clients to pray, and it works. And it's beautiful, simple, and easy. So let's break it down, how to pray step by step. I've put it together as an acronym, so it's easy for you to remember when you sit down to pray. Usually when we sit down to pray, we just go, what am I supposed to say next? And then your mind just goes off on some tangent. So the acronym is going to be GOAL for goal. So the steps will be in that order. So let's see how it's done. Starting with G. G is for gratitude. Thank God for all that He's done in your life. If you're struggling with this, many people do. Many people do, and I totally understand that. Just think the fact that you can see me or hear me right now, that's a gift. Not everybody has sight or ability to pay for the phone bills, right? So you have that. Next, you can thank God for your relationships, for the air in your lungs, for the food that you ate today, the coffee that you had, anything. Just start with something small, and trust me, it will flow. So that's first, gratitude. Next, observe your conscience. Conscience is really your thoughts. Just see, is there something that you did today that you felt was not God, something that God will not approve? Did you lie? Were you rude? Were you unkind? Literally, if you can't think of anything, just say, God, bring to my mind anything I've done that's hurt you or that's wrong in your eyes, and something will come up. Now, acknowledge where you've fallen short and simply say sorry. That's it. Just ask for forgiveness, okay? Now, this is the important part. Once you've said sorry, most people never do the next step, which is this. Now ask God to change you so that you never do that again. Yes, God can do things like that. He can, and He will change you. But if you ask for it, it has to be your will, okay? So not only say you're sorry and say, God, I screwed up. I'm sorry. Please help me never to do this again. Now comes the A, which is asking. When you ask, I often suggest ask for others first and then ask for yourself. You can ask for anything. You want help with money, you need guidance, you want success, you want to pray for others. Don't be afraid. Don't hold back. God is a big God, and no ask is too big for Him. Ask boldly. And finally, the L. L is for listen. Spend time listening. Pause and let God speak to your heart. He wants to talk to you. This has been fundamental with where I am today. Ask God for what He wants you to do. Ask for His guidance. Ask and then be still. It says in the Bible, be still and know that I am God. Remember that phone call you made earlier to that wise, really powerful person, and you just kept talking and you didn't listen to what the other person has to say? Well, this is where you listen. Okay, so let's put it all together. Here's an example of how I pray, following these exact same steps so you know how I do it, so you can just copy it. Okay, so let's start. I'm just going to pull up my fingers for G-O-A-L. G, dear God, thank you for waking me up today so that I can spend time with you. Thank you for my wonderful son, for my wonderful husband, for my friends, for my family, for my home. Thank you for all the beautiful people in my life and those who I'm blessed to guide on this journey. Lord, I'm sorry for getting angry with Michael yesterday. Please forgive me for being short with your child, because I know that he is indeed your child. Help me to be the best mom that I can be to him, and never let me lose my temper with him. Help me to be patient, loving, nurturing, and caring towards him, and to love him the way that you love him. Lord, I pray for my friend Paul, who wants to know you more and who wants to build a relationship with you. Strengthen him, Lord, so he becomes a powerful warrior for your kingdom. Lord, I pray that you will bless this ministry so that this message may reach those people who need to hear this and who are ready to hear this. Please bless and touch every person who can hear my voice right now. Make them feel your peace and experience your joy. I ask this in Jesus' name. Lord, I need to know what you'd like me to do next. What would you like me to teach your people? Here's where I'll be silent and I'll see what God puts in my head. Sometimes I'll receive the content, I'll write it down so I can teach others later. That's it. G for gratitude. O for observe with what you've done that was wrong. A, ask for anything, whatever you need for others, and then ask for yourself. And finally, L for listen. Thumbs up this video if you're enjoying it so far. Okay. Next step. This is where the bonus comes in. Remember I promised you a bonus? The kind of unusual way in which I pray that has resulted in miracle. Okay. Now this is a bold way. It may feel a little odd or uncomfortable at first, but try it. And then drop me a comment later. Let me know how it works. Or if you're already doing this and I want to know. Okay, so here's how we do it. Going back to the G-O-A, the A for ask, we're talking about that step. Here I'm going to give you something to turbocharge your asking. Okay. You do this by reminding God of His promises. Reminding God? Yeah, let me show you how it's done. So let's say that you've suffered a major financial setback, okay? And now you want God to restore it. So how do you do this? As in the step above, you just ask. Say, God, I'm stressed with my finances. Please turn this around for me. I really need more money. I need to take care of my family. Now remind God. Remind God of His promises and His word. Yes, this is why it helps to read the Bible. Don't worry if you haven't started yet. I'll do other videos in the future of how to do that. So hang in there. Now, here's how you will do it. You pick up a scripture from the Bible where he talks about money. So you say, God, in your word, in Isaiah 61:7, you said, instead of shame and dishonor, you will enjoy a double share of honor. You will possess a double portion of prosperity in your land. Everlasting joy will be yours. God, please grant me a double portion of honor, prosperity, and joy. I know that you will grant me what you've promised because your word said so. I have seen miracles happening with this. You may wonder, do we have to remind God of his promises? Well, actually, it says so in the Bible itself. Yes, it's amazing what it says. This is in Isaiah 62:6. It says, they must never be silent, day or night. They must remind the Lord of his promises and never let him forget them. So go ahead and remind God of his promises, and your prayers, God willing, will be answered. Okay, so now there's something very important we must address next, because this can really throw a wrench in your prayer life if you're not careful. And that is how to overcome distractions in prayer. Distractions really are inevitable. Okay, kind of like weed in a garden. You know, when you have a garden, you'll have weeds. Now, when they show up, don't get discouraged. It's our mind. They call it monkey mind for a reason, right? All you need to do is simply pull the weed out and gently redirect your focus back to God. So whenever you see that you're being distracted, just pull your attention back and go back to God. But how do you do that? Now, here are a few practical steps to overcome distractions. Number one, keep a written list of the step-by-step GOAL prayer process so you know what to do next, okay? Keep a prayer journal. Write down your thoughts and prayers to stay focused. It's what I personally do. So I remember all the people I'm praying for, all the things I'm praying for. Now, as a fun little thing, here's what I do. I have a little checkbox before every prayer. I love checking those boxes off to see which prayers have been answered. I just love it, and I'm waiting. It's almost like I'm telling God, I know that you'll answer this prayer. I'm just waiting for when I can check that box off. It's amazing. So please try it, and you're not going to forget. 3, you can use guided apps like the YouVersion Bible app. It's my favorite app. I'll link it in the description, if you want to check it out. It's like one small scripture helps you to pray. It's awesome. Number 4, be vigilant. Now be mindful of your thoughts and quietly bring them back to God. During your prayer time, if you find that your mind is drifting. So be vigilant. Number 5, set aside a specific time and a quiet place for prayer, minimizing interruptions. Personally, I do it first thing as I wake up. I've started to wake up at 5 a.m. because I found I can best focus on God during that quiet time before the madness of human life begins. Also, when you have little kids, you know what I mean. Now, knowing how to pray, removing distractions is great, but let's address the elephant in the room, which is how to stay consistent in prayer. Now, I want to know in the comments, what was your favorite part of what you've learned in the video so far? Okay, so now let's get into how to stay consistent. A garden thrives with daily care, correct? And so does your spiritual life. Consistency is key. So this is how you do it. Number 1, set aside a fixed time to pray. This has to be your time for God. If you're just starting, start with 10 minutes. Perfectly fine. But make that non-negotiable. Think of it like brushing your teeth. Do this. Say that you're going to brush your teeth, and after that you're going to set a timer. I do it on my watch. 10 minutes with God. It's called habit stacking, where you create a new habit, an old habit. Over time, this will lead to a flourishing relationship with God. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, join a prayer group or join a community of like-minded prayer warriors so that you have that encouragement and you don't feel weird. We have a close-knit community of warriors. We call it the Warriors of the Way. You're absolutely welcome to join. It's free. Link is in the description. Now, as you nurture your spiritual garden through consistent prayer, you'll notice God's peace and guidance growing in your life. But there's one more thing that can deepen this whole experience, and that is learning how to hear God's voice clearly when he responds to your prayers. I'll be releasing a video soon called How to Hear God's Voice Clearly, where I'll guide you step by step how to recognize when God is speaking and how to stay in tune with him every day. Okay, be sure to subscribe now. Click that notification bell so you don't miss it, because it could be the next step in this journey towards a deeper connection with God. If you were blessed by this video today, make sure you share it, because that's how we spread the good news and, of course, show others that we love and care for them. So go ahead and do that, and remember to post in the comments what was your favorite part of this video.